But guess what? Some of them are still involved in the community.
And in and support people.
Yes, exactly.
Our police department, they pay better than, because we're union, most people are, they pay very well. So back in the day, when they got all those people that were on, it was better for them to leave than to stay, because it's a little bit different now. But their payout, it was better for them to leave. So they all left at one time.
Exactly.
And on Pete's time clock, and there was no way to backfill. It's not like you got a waiting list. We've been heavily recruiting, but the capacity just isn't there. And my other thing is, I would like to see, I mean, if we did some type of study on urban districts around us, what does their departments look like? Are they able to show me a district like ours that has a diverse force and how they were able to do it?
That's
I haven't
right.
seen it yet, and we look at data all the time.
And I can tell you, if that was found, Mayor Pete would have sent a team there.
He would have. He would have, because
To
that's
see
just
how
how
they
he
do it.
That's how he rolls.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then, is it a different question? 'Cause
Well,
I-
it's kind of similar, it's in another field, where we have a terrible shortage in another field.
Okay.
But we're doing a lot of things to try to get nurses to come on and become nurses. Of course, the medical field is becoming popular again, and it's a good income field. But if they have these police academies and these things in these areas with reduced tuition, or maybe free tuition, because like University of Iowa, if you study underneath them and promise to go back to school there, or to work there for another 2 or 4 years, you can get your tuition free at University of Iowa. Mount Mercy has an accelerator program. A lot of these different schools have accelerator programs. You can graduate in 3.5 years to get your BSN. Could they have some kind of accelerated program for these men and women who would want to go into the police force through a police academy with a discount tuition?
We have something very similar to that.
Yeah,
We
it's
even
a
offer,
fire.
we
Exactly.
even offer, even better than that, we even offer to send them to school. Like when you get
Oh,
in, we're
wow.
going to help you get your master's degree,
wow.
your
Okay.
associate's degree, master's degrees. We're
Wonderful.
partnered with the
You just
schools.
got to get them interested in
They-
wanting and
It's the
wanting to
trust
do it.
issue. They
It's
will
trust
not,
issue.
it's the trust issue.
Yeah.
And also, too, we
Yeah.
take it a step further and we provide housing. We have a housing program through the city of South Bend where if you're an educator or a person who does any service to the community, you're
You get
able to be,
discounted rent.
yeah, you get a discounted rate. You're able to become a homeowner. These are all of the steps that we've taken as a city. But it's just for us, and I mean for me myself, like it's for me as a black woman, it's a trust issue. I'm not going to jump ahead and say that I want to be a police officer
Right.
when I know that I'll be better supported and also better received to my community if I took a different route with my occupation.
Well, it's a very dangerous
So let's-
occupation anyway, isn't it?
Let's try to wrap up the question.
Yeah.
So I was saying quickly though, as far as them doing other things in the area, in South Bend, I didn't think about this until you talked. When I came to Ivy Tech, and he's still there, the head of security, okay, was one of those who retired, Jim Clark,
I know.
and still there.
They
And-
all
and
left
now-
at the same time. They're
and-
baby boomers. They all left at the same time.
But now has all these students. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
That he's responsible for. So let's look at the other side. We've agreed that yes, there's been issues, but it has not been lack of trying all these programs. So let's look at something specific that happened. And of course, this is the one that, as it were, the most recent one, started all the talk again, right? And it was the shooting of, unfortunately, Mr. Logan. That night, Mayor Pete was in South Carolina at some big event, some fish fry or pork fry or some kind of fry. I was in South Carolina 2 weeks ago, and a gentleman told me, he said, I really like Pete until I left. I drove 2 hours to meet him at that fry, and they told me that he went home. But you see what I'm saying? The commitment.
Right.
Pete left immediately. So my point is, people there went there to meet him and didn't meet him. But he did what he was supposed to do. He came home that same night. He got into action. He formed his office. He said, this is him. This is what's going to happen. These are the people. Go do it. Okay? So that out of that meeting that night came a series of community meetings where some of us were selected as facilitators. And for 7 weeks, we sat down 2.5 hours every week with the group. I'm sorry?
Sometimes longer.
Exactly. You know, 8 to 10, and it was like eight of us that had, you know, different. So sometimes it was over 100 people that were there at the different tables, and we took the police policies, okay, all of the policies that the police used, and we selected 8 of them because of time. We tore them apart as a team and put them back together, putting in all these new measures. And quite a bit was in there regarding the body cams and you know, how does a cop approach, et cetera, et cetera.
I read all those.
And that
Okay,
was all
you
new.
did.
And that
Okay.
was all new. We were one of the first places to get body cams. I mean, it was new technology that no one around the country was using. I mean, it was very new. We implemented something that was pretty new. We knew that it wasn't. It wasn't. There was, when it was implemented and the resolution was passed, the company didn't even have, there were policies, because we just redid our public safety policy book for the first time ever 2 years ago. It's the first time it's been done over. I mean, completely revamped. Now, this particular situation caused us to look at the policies again, which is necessary, right? And tragedy brings those kind of things about.
Absolutely.
But on Pete's time clock, that was the first time the police policy book had ever been revamped. So it was revamped, and we implemented the body cameras. But at the same time, the things that we asked for with the body cameras, the company said that it wasn't sophisticated enough to do it, and they hadn't even gotten to that point. That's why our body camera policy was not very clear, and it was not completed, because when the actual equipment came, the equipment and the technology would not do some of the things that we needed it to do. So we were in negotiations with the company to the tune of another 6 months, because they had to make sure that the technology can do some of the things that we needed it to do. We didn't want to put certain things in policy if the technology wouldn't allow you to do that. And then there were other issues in terms of, you know, what's going to happen with the camera? How will the camera go off if we have a battered woman or a battered child and we have to go and talk to them? I mean, there's some other legal issues that people never take into consideration. You know, you can't have a young kid if they've been battered or bruised or whatever on a camera. I mean, so there's just certain things that you can't do. So we were waiting to make sure that the technology can do exactly what we needed to do before it was written into policy. And it wasn't just Mayor Pete. He's not the only governing body. I mean, when it comes to those policies, the council has to sign off on that.
Yeah.
So they were at the table, and they were really, a lot of them were the ones that were saying, hey, we can't do this. Until we could put this policy in writing, we can't roll this out. We should have it, and we should start a pilot, and we should definitely start using them. But we can't put anything in writing about this until we can make sure that technology can do everything that we need it to do. So,
And
So again,
Why
thank
am
you
I
so
not
much.
surprised that
What's
Pete's
it?
expectations and needs exceeded the